Mom's threats and violence made my dad trust me with a gun over her. Now I'm planning my escape. I'm 19 and I've lived 10 years in the States with my parents. Things get tense between the two because my mother felt forced to come to the United States when she really didn't want to, saying the only reason we arrived was because we, the children aged 9 and 7, wanted to see our dad who moved in order to support us in the Philippines. It's not like my life in the Philippines was tough or anything, but dad had a job op in the States and my mom encouraged it. Over the years, the threats and violence increase. They'd spank us and all when we were young. As we grew older and spanks didn't work, she'd sometimes get so mad she'd throw us against the wall. There was a point in time where I had to physically hold her back from choking my little brother. I feel so guilty thinking that she's only hurt my brother and I. Nowadays, I realize my mom's actions towards my dad get aggressive. She's threatened to stab him many times. One time I was in the car with her and she tried to run him over. She exclaims it'd feel so good to kill you to both the kids and my dad. General madness that makes me weary of her to this day. Don't get me wrong, I love and respect her. Some days it's just scary to be near her since any wrong word is like a time bomb. You can't even make a joke without her blowing up about it. In most recent days, she wants a gun. We own a small handgun for safety. You'd think that everyone would be able to reach it in times of need. It's locked away from her. When I was younger, maybe 11, my dad taught me how to properly hold it in case of emergencies. My dad trusted a child over my mom with a gun. She's been making threats like I want a gun so I can shoot you if I'm mad. We just retort, that's exactly why we won't let you get a gun. She gets so upset at the fact we won't let her get a gun, a weapon she could use to harm us. It's so weird to separate this monster of a woman from the image of motherhood I looked up to as a child. Just yesterday, I was leaving the kitchen and I heard them fight about my mom wanting a gun. Dad, you tried stabbing me so many times. I won't let you get a gun. Mom, I'll get a gun, what? You think I don't have connections? I suppose the reason I realize this now is because my father is pretty passive and doesn't want us to get affected. He's protected us from her many times and I owe him for that. I believe he tried getting her into therapy or seeing a psychiatrist, but it never went through. If anything, they tried sending me to one Lamau. It's a really long ramble and events like this really wake me up as to why I'm planning on leaving in the first place. Is anyone's family dynamic like this? I feel like I'm only realizing how crazy this house actually is. I am a 19-year-old Filipino, first-generation American, and I'm planning on moving out in 3 months. My friends have been so lovely and sweet to me, they've been really supportive and have been trying to help me leave my extremely toxic household. I've talked with my younger brother of 3 years and he's accepting because he knows how bad it is here. I'm afraid of my mother. There's countless times where she'll call me useless to my face and there's countless times where I've been afraid for my life. I don't want to get into too much detail since it's not the main point. In 3 months, my friends are planning to move out and taking me with. I carry my own weight and I'm pretty independent as is, however I have deep-weighted guilt. It's a fucked up filial piety sort of thing. Even though my mom has beat me and my brother, has threatened to kill us and all that, she financially supports us. I'm in the middle class and having lived in the States as an immigrant has been hard for everyone. I know she doesn't want us to be poor and struggle like she and my father did, but the fact she's willing to use force to exert an ideology of what's good for me and what career I should go to is hard to say the least. I'm, like many other, are pushed into the medical field. Truthfully, I'm not into it since I've been performing pretty well as a graphic artist. I've been working as a fashion designer since my senior year of HS and I've been looking into more jobs since. It's a long hard road but it's one I look forward to more than nursing. The main reason of guilt is money. Right now they're planning on paying for my CNA program at the local community college. In 3 months, September of 2020, I'll still be in class. I have an underlying guilt of stealing their money if I just leave, but I know my safety is more at risk. I'm going through with the plan of leaving, though it's a hard pill for me to swallow. I won't be able to attend the following semester since I didn't fulfill class requirements. Doing online learning for 2 lab-based classes is hard for a physical learner. How can I lessen and/or rid myself of this guilt? I don't plan on telling them I'm leaving. It'll guilt me into coming back with horrible repercussions. Update 1. Hi. I posted like a while back that I'm gonna be moving and so far my rent application has been super good. Almost approved and the landlord wants us there ASAP, like August 15th. I've been super anxious for months since that post and I've finally broken down and cried a bit. I want to leave and I will, but I've been nervous about my mother's reaction. I have a younger brother and I told him I may leave soon. He says that I should stay because he's worried mom would yell at him for knowing and that he'll be all alone. Ultimately he said I can if I want to. My parents and I have been arguing lately of the state of classes and that maybe it's high time I leave as a threat. I'm taking them up on that threat and leaving. I don't know why I'll cry. I want to say it's partly for my mom's reaction. I know she's done me wrong but she's done me right sometimes too. I love her and respect her but I can't take it anymore with her constant yelling and berating. I don't want her to cry. I want to pull myself off the toxic and scary home but I can't see a reason why I should cry about it. I love my brother and my dad and my dog and my mom. I'm just so upset about leaving them all of a sudden. I may come visit for holidays, I may not and just ship presents. I don't know. I have a hard time sleeping because this constant anxiety is eating at my heart. I love them but I need to leave, I can't stay. This is more of a ramble update because I'm super emotional and crying right now. I just want to ask for anyone's thoughts on this because my heart is everywhere. Or maybe answer if I'm selfish for leaving my family who's done everything they can for me because I think they've hurt and wronged me. Update 2. The moment I woke up, I started cleaning out my room. Mom has already left for work, so I wouldn't see her at all today. I had bought a large box from Home Depot a few months prior to help with my laundry, and it came with lids. I started storing all the clothes I wanted to bring with me and folded them in such a fashion that it would fit. Any remaining clothes in the laundry went to the laundry machine to be cleaned, then packed in a garbage bag. My legal papers are in a backpack I'll bring with me later. I then started carrying my machines. I own a Cricut and a Canon printer for my artwork. I made sure I wrapped the wires and got everything settled. My manga, my Crusader helmet, and anything miscellaneous went into a reusable shopping bag. All of this into the car. My dad left for work at around 6:30. Soon after he left, I drove out under the claim I'd try to find a car wash. I got into the new place and transported everything inside with the help of my roommates. I returned home at 7:30. Mom comes home at /9 p.m. I eat dinner with her and watch a bit of the Addams Family. Some good memories before I go. I pack her lunch and tell her I love her. She goes to sleep at maybe 10. Then, it was waiting. It felt like hell. I reminisced on all the time I spent together with the people I called my family, both good and bad. I took some time to write a note and left my car insurance stuff next to it. I'm not taking the car with me. After watching a friend's stream, I called quits and decided to take a nap at 12:30 a.m. I kept napping at 30-minute intervals until about 2 a.m. I left home at around 2:30 a.m. once my friend sent me a message that they'd be on their way. I moved my dog, who was sleeping with me, to my brother's room. My little brother asked why I wouldn't let him sleep with me. I just said that I really want to sleep by myself tonight. It took some time and my dog got upset because he really wanted to be with me. He eventually said all right and went to sleep. I had to resist telling him all day because he's the one to crack under pressure by my parents. I'll keep in contact with him. As soon as I walked out and avoided as many cameras as I could to not give away my possible location, my first feeling was relief. I did it. I made it out with backpack and blanket on hand. I walked to meet up with my friends. They took me in the car and mid-drive, I cried. I still feel a bit guilty for lying and leaving like I did, but it's my step towards independence. I know they'll be sad. I'm sure I'll be sad too. We'll grow from this distance and become better, mature adults. I'm so lucky to have this support system of friends, truly. I know I gave them a pretty hard time with my cautiousness, but lying in my room tonight has been a blessing. It's a very long ramble. I want this up for other people to know that it's possible to leave. You can get happiness and peace of mind, you just have to push yourself. It'll be hard, but it's a path you carve for yourself. I really thought it was impossible, but I'm here. Edit. Thank you all so much for the attention this got. I didn't think it'd reach so many people and get an award. I'm really touched to see that some people are inspired and proud of me for what I've done, even if I feel so much guilt inside for now. I really loved being able to share this and give some thoughts on the situation. I don't know if people would be able to see this update, but here's what's happened with my parents. They've called in a missing persons report. Luckily, because of my note, they didn't suspect any foul play and the PD called to let me know. My dad has left me an email. It states, "Op, can you PLS call mom? If you truly want to leave, do it properly. I love you, Anak, child. Do it right." I didn't respond. My brother misses me and wishes I said goodbye at least. My friend texted me since she was messaged by my parents. They wanted to know where I was. They wanted me to call them. I don't want to, at least not now. I feel like an asshole for doing what I've done, really. What I do know is I don't want to come back. I may just go no contact for a while just so everything can settle, but I'm not sure if it'd just make me more of an asshole doing so because they're obviously worried. I'll call the police department later once some roommates wake up and let them know about the situation. Thank you again, everyone. Update 3. They've called the police and I just found out they've left voicemails in my inbox. I didn't listen to all of them, just like maybe a few seconds of my mom's. "Don't do this to me, baby." She's crying and I had to stop the 4-minute message because I couldn't handle it. The police didn't come, but they've left me a message at 12 a.m. I was asleep and my phone died, about the situation. They have my note on hand and said that it doesn't seem like there was a fight or I'm a missing person. They just want confirmation or I call my parents directly. I won't be able to call my parents, really. I'm too afraid they'll just cry and try to drag me back. Earlier yesterday, my dad sent me an email saying, "Op, if can you PLS call mom? If you truly wanted to leave, do it properly. I love you, Anak, child. Do it right." My friend notified me that they've been sending messages to all the people I'm close to find out where I am. My friend's mother has tried contacting me to call my mom. Yes, I know that running out without saying a word hurts. I wish I trusted my family more to actually talk to them, but it's gotten to this point. Am I the asshole for not wanting to call my mom? For not wanting to contact them about all this? I'm going to contact the police about all this later so they can defuse the situation. Update 4. I mentioned that I was going to do 1-month update and the time has come. The last thing I mentioned on my last post happened around a day after I moved. I'll start from there. My timeline might be a bit messy since I didn't write anything down in real time. This is a long one. A day after moving out, I was contacted by the local police station. They left a voicemail on my phone since I was asleep the day they called me. They were unable to file a missing persons report because I was 19, above the legal age of 18 in the US. The note I left showed that there wasn't any sign of a possible fight or anything that could lead to me being a missing person. I was taken to the local police station, thanks to the help of a friend, and explained the situation. For a while I'd get shaky and anxious around cars that were similar to the ones my parents owned. However, there was no possible way they could have tracked me on my phone. I took that away when I just made a new Apple account that isn't tied to the family. They'd send emails or had family friends message/call me. They all just wanted me to reach out to my mom, but I just ignored it for the most part. I get a DM from a high school friend. She sends a screenshot of my parents asking to know where I was and that they knew that we, friend and I, talked a lot. She was getting constantly harassed into trying to find my location. I explained to my friend that I am very much okay, but to tell my parents that she didn't know where I was. She did, and the harassment stopped for her, I believe. It got to the point where my mom asked an old family friend to reach me. That friend was the mother of my friend since middle school, who passed away a few days before I moved out. I felt guilty knowing that I didn't have the courage to talk to her, but I was angrier knowing that my mom asked her grieving friend to help fix a family matter that doesn't relate to her. Things later died down after I explained on a private FB account what was happening and to ignore any messages from my parents. 2 days passed and I felt much happier. I didn't feel as stressed and I even got my long hair cut. Being able to cut away that foot of hair and donate it was the best feeling in the world. It might just be me, but my long hair symbolizes how chained down I was to my family. I wasn't allowed to look a certain way, act a certain way, and do certain things. I was the representative of my parents. I had to look my best all the time. I wasn't my own person. Everything was dictated by them, even the length of my hair. Being able to cut my hair and shave it down was my symbol of being free. I was so excited, especially since I had an interview at a local bakery the following day. The next day, I decided to walk to the bakery. It was a few minutes away and the scenery on the way there was beautiful. It was bright and sunny, the colors felt vivid, and the sun was hot. I roamed around until it was time my interview. I felt pretty confident during the process since I was very interested in the way a bakery works and I had experience as a cashier. I connected with the manager on our upbringing as an immigrant and that we were both on the nursing field, then dropped. Spoiler alert, I didn't get the job. It's alright, but that's how it be sometimes. On my way home, 2 of my roommates wanted to do a workout at home. I felt pretty good and wanted to join, so I decided to join them after I get dressed in proper gym attire. I go up the stairs to my room, change out of my current outfit, and go downstairs. One of the 2 roommates decided to go take a bath before we started. Now, leading up to the stairs, there's a window that faces the street across from us. The house we're renting is pretty old, like around the 1920s I believe. It's a very well lit house and has a lot of windows for natural lighting. Walking past this window, I see a very familiar shade of blue. I think to myself, hey, that's weird. That blue reminds me of my car. Let me take a look. My heart dropped. Inside my 2012 Nissan Sentra I got as a birthday present last year, the car I left behind because I felt guilt in taking it, were my parents. Quite honestly, the only reason I recognized them was because I noticed my mom's expensive sunglasses. They both had sunglasses and wore masks. I may not have been able to recognize them if it weren't for my mom's expensive tastes. I frantically call out to my roommate. I told her that I think my parents are here. I was shaking, I felt everything go gray. She quickly told me to hide and I did so in the living room broom closet. I closed a door behind me with my phone in hand, shaking and trying not to be heard as I cry. It's safe to say that I did not feel safe. My roommate left the house to take a better look at what's happening, but my parents were already at the door. The living room door was open, so I could hear my mom sobbing and trying to talk about me. Have you seen my daughter? She went missing and this was her last location. It was the last location she put on her car's GPS, so we came here. Please tell us if you know. We never fight and she just left without saying anything. I had to cover my mouth because I felt like I was getting loud with my cries. I was so afraid that they'd find me and drag me by my hair, dragging me back to that nightmare of a place I called home. What I find scary, especially after the month passed, is how my mom didn't even sound like herself. She wanted pity and sympathy, trying everything to do so. Her pitch was much higher than I remember it sounding. According to my roommate, both of them were super pushy. My dad kept insisting that I was there because this was my last location, being super stern and angry about it. My mom tried to make her way inside and tried taking my friend's phone to put her phone number on it. Eventually my roommate said that she didn't know who or where I was, and that she hopes that they'd find me. They leave. During that time, I was texting the 3rd roommate who was at work. She offered to come back home, but luckily the situation was diffused before it got to that point. I ended up staying in the closet for a few more minutes since they didn't leave right away. Once they did, my friend got me out. I didn't exercise with them that day. I ended up just staying in my room to cool off for a while. Maybe an hour or 2 later, I was cooking dinner and an email from my mom pops up. I asked my roommates to read it and honestly, the email was very stupid. The gist of the email was that she was proud I came out as a lesbian and live with my lesbian lover, roommate that talked to them. She would fight for me, and that I'm welcome back anytime, that I should bring my lover for them to meet. It's delusional. Honestly. They thought I ran away because of a girlfriend and that they can't possibly be the reason of my fears and anxieties. They can't possibly be at fault, right? The funny thing is that my roommate is already taken and is a straight girl. It was quite honestly the highlight of the month, outside the fact that they literally forced me into hiding. I really thought it was over and the month was nearly over. A week or so later, my roommates start getting harassed by my parents. Apparently they still had access to my old contacts list that was on my old Apple account and they could see who called me. The one that answered the door a while back didn't pick up, but the one that was in the bath during that time did on accident. She ended up getting grilled by my dad about where I was and that he knew that she called me often. She explained that it was a misdial because she was given the wrong number and again, she hoped they would find their missing daughter soon. At this point I've had enough that they've made me break my no contact. I sent them an email, please respect my privacy and stop harassing my friends. I have said my piece and left, you don't need to contact everyone I know just to find out where I am. You've said that you'll be respecting my privacy, but everything you've done so far proves otherwise. I'll talk to you when I am ready. It's been 5 days since then and I haven't heard a word since. I think they finally got the message that I'm done playing around and I'm not going back to them. Sooner or later I'm going to have to get a restraining order only because I don't feel safe being around my old neighborhood, and ever since they popped up in my new neighborhood, I don't feel safe in general. I'm always constantly scanning for their cars, whenever I go, and I hate it. These last few days have been much more relaxed, I really don't feel worried about my family situation anymore. I try to talk with my brother a bit, but I don't think he wants to just yet. He wants me to be safe, that's all he said to me. I know he sees my messages, but I'm not going to get angry at him. I probably really hurt him when I left, so I get it if he's angry. I don't cry as much as I did before. I sobbed so much, but now I could care less about it. Sure, I get a bit anxious when I hear someone that sounds like them or see something that's tied to them, but it'll be fixed sooner or later once I get the paperwork done. My roommates have noted that I'm much happier now too, that I'm much chattier than when I first got in. I don't regret moving out, it's probably the best decision I made for myself. It's going to be hard now, especially since I'm not financially dependent on my family anymore. However, the happiness of being able to sleep comfortably and have the emotional support of my friends brings me more joy than staying would have ever given me. I'm very humbled that some of you have reached out to me for advice and opinions. I'm always here to listen to you and talk about your rough patch in life. We Asians have to stick together, we know what we've been through, so we know what it feels like. We're all family and I'm forever grateful for the advice and support you've all given me. You helped push me into this happier life I know now. I want to help you reach yours. It's a learning process living independently, but it doesn't feel much different than when I was at home since I was pretty much independent there as well. The post has gone long enough and I just got home from a long day of training at my new work. I'm going to head to bed, but thank you for everything. Update 5. I moved a few months ago and since then I've been constantly harassed. I didn't want it to get to this point, but this is the second time she came to my home. I went to the courthouse and they have to bring her in to testify as well. I'm pretty confident that I'll win, but I'm quite honestly very terrified to see her. It's in a few weeks, but man, I just want it all to be over. I kinda want her there so I can just have her hear what she did to me and the mental distress I've been under for the past few years. I want it to be over. Update 6. Hey. Sorry I was working lol, I'm doing a lot better than before. I've been suffering from a lot of PTSD flashbacks, but I should be meeting with my brother today so I can get tickets to his graduation. I don't want to live my life regretting I missed it, even if I'm very afraid of consciously knowing I'm in the same room as my parents. Things get a lot better, but things also get a lot harder, which is a given. I enjoy the freedom I have to make my own choices now, though smiles I appreciate the checkup. Update 7. It's been almost 5 years since I left home, and I can't believe how much has changed. I'm now 24 and living in a small apartment across town with my partner Jamie, whom I met at an art exhibition where I was showcasing some of my graphic design work. We've been together for 2 years now, and the stability of our relationship has been healing in ways I never expected. The restraining order against my mother was granted shortly after my last update. The day in court was one of the hardest experiences of my life. Seeing her across the courtroom, her eyes red from crying, almost broke my resolve. She played the victim perfectly, sobbing about how she just wanted her daughter back, how she couldn't understand why I would leave, how much she loved me. The judge, thankfully, saw through it when presented with evidence of her threats and the documented harassment. My dad was there too, sitting silently beside her. He never spoke during the proceedings, just stared at the floor. Sometimes I wonder if he regrets not doing more to protect us when we were younger. I still have complicated feelings about him, gratitude for the times he shielded us, resentment for the times he didn't. My brother graduated high school last year. I did attend his graduation, sitting far in the back where my parents wouldn't notice me. I met him afterward at a coffee shop a few blocks away. He's grown so tall now, towering over me. We hugged for what felt like forever, both of us crying. He told me he's planning to attend college in another state, partly to study engineering, partly to get away from mom. I helped him with his application secretly, and we talk almost daily now. He's the family I choose to keep. The PTSD flashbacks have lessened with therapy, though certain triggers still send me spiraling. The sound of keys jingling in a lock. The specific tone of voice my mother would use right before an explosion. The smell of her perfume on a stranger passing by. My therapist says healing isn't linear, and some days are still harder than others. I've built a career as a graphic designer for a small marketing firm. My boss values my creativity and has given me opportunities to lead projects. It's nothing like the medical career my mother envisioned for me, but I'm good at what I do, and more importantly, I love it. The financial independence I've achieved feels like the ultimate victory. Last month, I received a letter from my father. He wrote that my mother had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and was finally getting treatment. He apologized for not protecting us better and said he understood if I never wanted to speak to either of them again. He included his email address but said he wouldn't expect a response. I haven't decided if I'll write back. Part of me wants to maintain the clean break I've made. Another part wonders if her getting help changes anything. Jamie says it's entirely my decision and supports whatever I choose. Having someone who respects my boundaries like that still feels like a luxury. Sometimes I think about that night I left, how terrified I was, how guilty I felt, how I hid in a closet when they came looking for me. I wish I could tell my younger self that it gets better. That the fear subsides. That you learn to sleep through the night without waking up in panic. That you find people who love you without hurting you. I still have the note my dad sent me after I left, do it right. I think about those words often. I believe I am doing it right, building a life that's mine, healing old wounds, creating boundaries that protect me. It wasn't the path they wanted for me, but it's the one that saved me.